Good morning, media colleagues and those joining us via the stream. Of course, our guests in the room. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the press briefing this morning. We have an exciting and timely press briefing planned for you today. As you are aware, the global inflation crisis continues to have a major impact across the globe, and it has definitely reached our shores. The government, as you know, has taken a series of steps to reduce the impact of this crisis in the Bahamas, including reducing import duties on many food items, and has also moved to make the country less vulnerable to future inflation crises by investing significantly in our country's agribusiness and food security. The government has tabled in Parliament this week a bill to increase the national minimum wage. It's the first increase in the minimum wage since 2015. Members of the public service who earn the minimum wage will receive the increase retroactively going back to July. And the private sector, as you know, will begin to implement the new minimum wage in January. So I said all of that to give you a backdrop to introduce the Minister of Labor, Keith Bell, who along with his team are here today from the ministry to present and answer any questions regarding this legislation to increase the minimum wage. Obviously, also present here today at our press conference is Minister Mario Bowleg from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture to introduce to you an important initiative, the National Youth Guard. So definitely an exciting press briefing plan for you today. First up, I'm going to invite the Minister of Labor, Keith Bell, as he's going to give brief remarks, and of course you can ask some questions about minimum wage. Minister.
Thank you. A pleasant good morning, media. Good morning, Bahamas. It is a pleasure to be here and, of course, to review this topic, very controversial at times, but it's very timely, minimum wage and increase thereof. I'm joined this morning by the Director of Labor, Mr. Robert Farquharson, and Ms. Sharon Martin is on her way, who represents the National Tripartite Council. You would note earlier this week in Parliament that I would have presented a resolution and, of course, the order in respect to the increase in minimum wage. And as you are all aware, minimum wage will take effect on January 1, 2023. Of course, for the public service, minimum wage will be increased with effect from July 1st of this year. And so I think everything has been said in respect to minimum wage. I now open the floor for questions.
Mr. Bell, how many persons are suspected to be impacted?
As I would have indicated, even though the data is not up to date, we anticipate some 60,000.
Mr. Bell, is 60,000 persons in the workforce that could benefit, and there are approximately close to 214,000. What does that say for the remaining 154,000?
Well, again, the point to be had is that even though we are speaking of an increase in the minimum wage to $260, we as a government is not saying that that is final. We're moving towards a livable wage, and obviously everybody would be impacted by that. We appreciate the fact that inflation has increased exponentially, and of course, it will continue to increase given what is going on around the world. The Ukrainian war, for example, the provision of goods and services, etc. And so what it means that we will be engaging through the Department of Labor and the National Tripartite Council in a number of discussions in respect to this livable wage. And again, if you were to start your research or you'd have done some focus on it, you would note that many countries around the world have adopted different models. I think yesterday as I watched the news, there was a poll as to whether or not we ought to increase the wage every 3, 4, 5, or a number of years, whether we ought to use a scale, whether we ought to put something in the legislation where we're able to, the provisions are automatic in respect to when you can anticipate it. But again, it will all have to be discussed and determined, of course, in respect to, as well as in discussion and dialogue, with our social partners, all of the Employers Federation, certainly with the government, because it has significant financial implications. We don't want to necessarily appear to be unrealistic in our approach in terms of what the livable wage ought to be. So once there would have been extensive discussions and dialogue, then we would come and determine what model we ought to adopt in terms of going forward. Okay?
Is there a model that you specifically looking at?
No, there is no specific model as yet, but again, I suspect the director has indicated to me so far that there are several models that we would be presenting to the public, presenting to the employers, presenting to the government, and then once we based on the discussions, then we determine which model would perhaps be best, looking at benchmarking on those countries around the world which currently use those models. Okay? I wish to thank you all very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Minister. Brief and straight to the point. Now we're going to go on to a very important initiative launching today, the Youth Guard. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mario Boleg, and of course the Director, Sandina Neely, will introduce that project.
Good morning, everybody. As we all have been aware of the devastation of Hurricane Dorian 5 years ago, well, approximately 3 years ago, Category 5, that would have impacted Grand Bahama and Abaco. The government, noticing this and noting the shortfall of our preparedness in being ready for these type of disaster, to this end, the government of the Bahamas, under the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, seeks to launch this program that will make a historic impact on its own. And I'm proud to announce the launch of the Bahamas National Youth Guard. Lifted from our Blueprint from Change, the Bahamas National Youth Guard program is designed to teach young people the skills needed to assist this nation during disaster or an emergency. Dorian was an eye-opening experience, but this government did not just take what we saw and forgot about it. We have the vision and the fortitude to establish a groundbreaking program such as this. The Bible says that without vision, the people will perish. We are determined that the Bahamian people should not perish, not under our watch. The Bahamas National Youth Guard is a youth program focused on equipping young persons from all of our islands with the necessary tools to assist the nation by supporting private and public agencies during national emergencies, such as national disaster. This program targets young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 who believe in giving service to their nation. It will give the participants the opportunity to gain technical skills such as search certification, boat captain license training, risk assessment, disaster management, conversation training, soft skills, and physical training. This initial cohort will consist of 100 of our young nation builders who will be positioned to make an impact in this nation through service. The Bahamas National Youth Guard is a program that will be facilitated by the ministry, specifically the Division of Youth and its civic and corporate partners. This program will have 4 phases with a 27-month cycle. The first phase will be 3 months for training. The second phase will be an internship component. The third phase will be an on-call component. And the final phase will be a quarterly training sessions. Let me just make it known that during these training, young people will receive stipends during the training sessions and internship sessions. So I encourage all young people across the length and breadth of our nation who are interested in giving service to their communities and preparing themselves and their families for the next disaster to sign up for this program. It's my ministry belief of giving easy access and staying connected to young people, and we have posted the link to sign up on our Facebook page, the Division of Youth 242, and I'd be remiss if I end without congratulating the team of the Division of Youth who have worked diligently to make this vision a reality. This team works daily to improve the lives of young people through the nation, led by Sandina Neely, Head of Division of Youth, and Mr. Kenneth Frazier, our youth officer, who was tasked with organizing this program, and we are so proud of the work that he and the entire team have done to bring us to this point. They are here with me. You can wave. Jackson Brown Jr. once said, "The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today." Bahamians have always been resilient no matter the condition. Today, we prepare our young people for a bigger, brighter, and I declare a bold future. I thank you. I will call Mr. Kenneth Frazier up, who will give you more information as relates to this National Youth Guard. Frazier.
Good morning. All right. Like our minister said, it is a program designed to ensure that Bahamians and young persons have the skills needed to be able to equip us and assist us during a national disaster. We recognize that Dorian showed us that we wasn't prepared, so that for that particular reason, we want to design a program where we can prepare ourselves for the future situations. So this program is designed to cater to youth throughout the entire nation. We plan on reaching out from as far as Inagua straight up to Abaco and the Berry Islands to make sure that everybody's incorporated, so that if something like Dorian ever happens again, we start with our young people and we create a generation who's prepared to be able to handle and mitigate and be able to be resourceful enough to be able to deal with the situation in a proactive way. All right, any questions?
How many young people are you prepared to, take on?
The first cohort, we're starting with 100 people.
So moving forward, is that going to increase or?
Well, we're gonna judge how these first 100 go, and we're gonna determine from there whether we're gonna need to increase it or decrease it depending on the needs.
And the program will be available to Family Islanders as well, or?
Yes, from anybody between the ages of 18 and 25, Bahamians, they can sign up for it.
When does it start?
Starts January.
So where will they be placed? Will they just be called upon during natural disasters, or will they be placed with the ministry?
Once they complete the third component of the second component, where they do an internship, they will be on a reserve basis, whereas we'd be able to call on them whenever we need them.
So is it first come, first served, or what?
What is the criteria for?
All right. The simple criteria have to be between the ages of 18 and 25. Bahamian have to have a 9th grade level education, because the training we want to give you, you want to make sure that you are at that standard to be able to understand and use the training. Have to be at this point in time. We want to make a adjustment as we continue to go on. But at this point in time, we want to make sure that they're physically fit to be able to handle the training. So that's pretty much the requirements.
Let me say something like that. We don't want to exclude anyone in the nation, whether you are at risk or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. The whole idea is for us to try and find employment for individuals and save our young people. So education is not a priority. What you don't know, we will teach you.
The aim is, I guess, for them to assist after disasters, or would it also be like prepping for?
At all stages, from preparedness straight into response. The plan is to have them engage in each aspect, and we have initiatives where throughout the year that they will be engaged in, whether it's helping repair hurricane shelters, to helping with beach cleanups, to assisting with repairing sea walls. We're going to have them engaged throughout the year, doing all different activities towards making sure that we're prepared, as well as we're able to respond during a national disaster.
So for participants, or for those persons who want to participate on Family Islands, how's it going to be done? Are they coming to Providence, or?
Once they signed up and accepted, we're going to bring them into the Family Islands to do their basic set of training. Yeah, from Family Islands, we're going to bring them into the Nassau, to do their basic training, and then they're going to also be able to go back to the Family Island to complete their training, because we want to make sure that those persons are equipped to be able to assist in their region specifically.
Let me just add to my good compadre, Mr. He's doing a great job. We're going to invest, the government is going to invest 1.5 million. Sorry, he direct me. The government is going to invest invest 1.5 million in this first cohort, we investing in our youths. If we don't invest in them, then they can invest negatively in us. So understand that this process is something that we take very seriously, and the government understands that we must do some things to save our young men and women. And so therefore, the investment in this is minute to compare the positive impact it would have on the nation.
Any further questions for the Ministry of Youth team?
One more question, Mr. Boland. That's a very interesting point that you made in terms of investing in our youth. And as according to crime statistics, they're the ones most at risk and more involved in criminal activity. What is your ministry doing to target those at-risk youth who are contributing to the high level of crime in the country?
Well, this is one of the programs, Rachel, which we will encourage them to come and be a part. Along with that, as you're aware, it's Youth Month. So we reach out to all of our youth organizations, and without our youth organizations, the ministry becomes a minute as it relates to a institution, because we need that, what I will call the octopus arms, to help us to reach these at-risk youths. Next month is Sports Month. So we're using, whether it's youth, sports, and culture, December's Culture Month. So each of my division has programs and plans in place that we can go out there and reach our youths in the communities, and as you can watch for the next few weeks, you will see us doing our best to do that. We may not save all, but I assure you we will save some.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we've now come to the time in our press briefing where we're going to take questions from members of the media, anything government related. We have Communications Director Latreille Raming, who is on hand today. Before he comes, I just have two announcements. The first is earlier this week, Prime Minister Davis led OPM's Climate Change Unit ongoing preparations for COP27, which, as you know, will be held in Egypt next month. And we are very excited for all of the things that are going to come out of that, because we are moving to become a more climate resilient country. The second is Prime Minister Davis joined his Caribbean colleagues and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to discuss regional security challenges. And of course, to speak more about that and to answer any questions that you have, I'm going to invite Communications Director Latreille Raming.
Good morning, members of the press. Before I begin, I want to congratulate the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and the Ministry of Labor for delivering on the government's commitment of ensuring in our blueprint for change that we increase the minimum wage, also the National Youth Guard. These were key priorities of the government, and I'm happy to see us making those progressing on those key policies and initiatives. I am here to take any questions the members of the press may have.
Sorry, Crystal Darling, Eyewitness News. What's the main priorities or topics of discussion that the Prime Minister is going to take to COP 2022?
Well, I think for us the key points is adaptation, access to finance. Of course, the government would announce previously earlier this year a key policy of carbon credits and ensuring that the market have a broad understanding, that the stakeholders have a broad understanding of the government's position on that matter. But key access to financing is critical for us. As you are aware, the government of the Bahamas would have hosted regional counterparts in a regional summit or regional meeting in August of this year. And the key takeaways from that meeting will be centered around the government's policies and advocacy at the upcoming COP27 in Egypt.
What's the update with discussions with the government and the Grocer Retailers Association? We know earlier this week the Economic Affairs Minister said today would have been, I guess, the new deadline, for them to get their affairs in order in terms of adding those items to the price control list. Now, an article came out today where the association basically indicated that they may not be ready for today's government minded to give them a little more time. Has a proposal, did you receive a proposal from them? Where are we with that now?
Okay. Again, let me remind the members of the public and the media at large, the government is committed to broad public consultation with all stakeholders. We will extend the period of conversation to next week, Friday. The government realized and recognized that we share the burden with all of our partners in this effort in the fight against the global economic crisis, so they will get an extension to next week, Friday.
Now, they expressed concern that, they can't really deal with any more loss. Is it open to discussion for the decision to be adjusted in terms of the number of items being added to that list, considering that they're saying that the loss may be a lot for them to deal with? Is the government minded to make any adjustment there at all to try to assist them with that, to try to ease the burden there for them? I know it's been said that government is looking to ease the burden on consumers as well.
What I can say is that the government recognizes that we have to share the burden. The negotiations are ongoing. There is no final place that we have derived in the negotiations. So I suspect that the stakeholders will put to the government their concerns, and the government will have to review any possible accommodation. But it would be premature for me to say what that may be during the negotiations.
Hi, afternoon, Jane from the Tribune. When will there be a decision made to say if our Marines will be going to Haiti?
Well, as you're aware that what the press officer would have said, Gillian, that the Prime Minister had a conversation with his CARICOM counterparts on Wednesday night with the Prime Minister of Canada. They discussed the ongoing national security issue in the deteriorating national security issue in Haiti. What I can say is CARICOM regional members have not derived at a conclusion as yet as to whether or not we will send troops. What they have said is that they recognize the importance of the region acting together in our collective efforts to ensure that we preserve the regional national security. A stable Haiti is in the interest of all Caribbean countries, particularly the Bahamas, and we want to see economic and political stability in Haiti, and the government, along with its regional counterparts, will have to review what that intervention may look like. However, CARICOM has not finalized that intervention.
Earlier this week, there was an Auditor General's report that recommend an investigation be done into some funds unaccounted for at the San Salvador and Runkeep post office. I think it's like $100 and something thousand, $100,000. Can you say if, did the Prime Minister view that report, and did he give his response, and as to if that will take place?
I have not had a conversation with the Prime Minister on the findings of that report. I do know of the procedure of what happens when there is a situation where the Auditor General speak to any irregularities around funding or finance of any sort. That report is sent to the Attorney General's office, who, if necessary, will defer the matter to the Commissioner of Police. But me and the Prime Minister have not spoken in details about that report.
So the report was sent to the Attorney General?
I'm not sure. I'm saying the process of what took place. Will take place. Any additional questions?
The reported, Carl,
Go ahead, start there.
the reported growth of the shanty towns in Abaco, is the government aware of that, and what's taking place?
I think the members of the media, I think there was a story by the Tribune or in the Nassau Guardian of Alfred Sayers, the Minister of Works and Utilities, who've already spoken about the government's intentions. He did say that there will be a team traveling to Abaco to review and give an on-the-ground assessment. He also said that the government will not tolerate unregulated communities. So I think through the minister, we have really spoken very clear on the administration's position on irregular communities in Abaco. There will be a multi-stakeholders task force that will comprise of all ministries, immigration, national security, to ensure that the government guarantee that the rules of our countries are being carried out. Just expanding on what the minister said, these communities have children in it. There are also the possibility that Bahamians may be involved in it. So we want to make it very clear that those who have intentions to host or build unregulated communities, that the government of the Bahamas will not tolerate it.
As it relates to the shanty towns, could we expect any demolitions anytime soon? Or taking into consideration that there's an injunction?
Back to what I've said, the Minister of Works have already said that the government is going to review the matter with the view of the task force giving recommendations to the government.
What is Shelley Lewis from Global Impact? What is the status of the injunction? It has been close to, I think, court imposed an injunction for the demolition of Shanty Towns, and nothing has been said since. What is the status of that injunction?
I do not know, but what I can do, I will be kind to facilitate an interview with the Attorney General so you can get the answer to your question.
Question for Mr.
Before, I know that the Guardian had sent in two questions. But go ahead.
I know we have one of the audit report saying that there was another report being laid somewhere in Belgium. Brussels?
Brussels report. Yeah.
Yes. I was wondering if the government has sought the suggestions from the auditor with that report specifically.
Well, I think what I can say is because the report was just recently tabled on Wednesday, it is now with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that will be for something that they would have to review and give the considerations to. I spoke with the Minister of Foreign Affairs last night, and the report is something that he's aware of, and I think the media, members of the media could feel free to speak to the Foreign Minister about the findings of the report. What was the questions by Nassau Guardian? Insofar as the cost of the Bermuda trip from the Nassau Guardian, that cost was covered by the Progressive Civil Party, and all questions pertaining to that trip could be deferred to the organization.
Shelley Lewis again. It was proposed that, you did mention that CARICOM has not come to an agreement with the deployment of troops to Haiti at this time. But in the event there is a decision, and it has been suggested, is the government taking into consideration the conditions in Haiti at this time with regards to the health and the volatile situation, and our officers prepared to deal with that level?
I think once I've seen a story in today's paper by the Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force saying that there are some preliminary preparations, and if there was an eventuality that the government were to send troops to Haiti, there are standard protocols that the Ministry of Health would have for our officers. I suspect that they will carry out those protocols to ensure the health and wellness of our officers. I think it's important also to stress that the instability in Haiti does not go well for the Bahamas or the region, and that's why there's a shared focus with the United States government, United Nations, and Canada, and all Caribbean countries.
And what is the status of our officers who have been deployed to TCI?
I spoke to the Minister of National Security this morning. What I can say is that the operation in TCI is progressing well. Insofar as the information for the operation, that's a matter for the Commissioner of Police, but there have been some success. In some instances, we have found Bahamians who have violations with our law have been identified and sent back to the Bahamas. So I think that is something that we have to look at as well. We also have to appreciate that fighting crime is not something that is precluded specifically to the Bahamas. It is something that exceeds outside of our borders. Human trafficking happens outside of our borders. The smuggling of weapons happens outside of our borders, and the operations of gangs is something that happens outside of our borders. So when the government do make decisions to work with our regional counterparts, it's in our shared interest. Before I end, I want to commend the press team, the Office of the Prime Minister, for a good job for what they've done. This is more than 40 weeks and counting. We have come here and answered the questions of the press. This is transparency at best. I think that Mr. Watson and his leadership has done an outstanding job in guaranteeing what the Prime Minister had asked of us. He said that he wanted a communications department that guaranteed the transparency of the Bahamian people. I think every week we have informed you as to what the government is doing, and we answered all questions by the member of the media. I think that is something that they ought to be commended for. Good afternoon. You could speak there.
Thank you so much, Latrey, for those kudos. And piggybacking off of that, I just want to say happy birthday to Clint. He celebrated last week, and he is taking a much-needed vacation, a pre-planned vacation. I won't say where, because, you know. But happy birthday, and you deserve it. Now we are at the end of our press briefing, and we have something that I'm very passionate about, and that is projects. And so our food vendor for today is a little bit different. She is a young girl, Brielle, and she's coming to talk about Brielle's Cupcake Project. And I think Brielle started this when she was about 4 years old, actually. So Brielle, you can come up. I think that we need a little step here. And so she's been doing it for several years now. And her parents are here with her, who's going to come as well, just to tell you about what the Cupcake Project is about and how you can support. And it is for a very good cause. Bear with us. She is the tiniest speaker that we have had at our press briefing thus far, so we just need to maneuver here. Perfect. Parents, come stand with us.
Good morning to all, and thank you for coming. My name is Brielle Brista. I am in grade 2 at Temple Christian School. For the past 2 years, Brielle's Cupcake Project has held a big sale, and all of the proceeds are used to purchase gifts for less fortunate children. We have given out over 450 gifts so far. This year, our goal is to pass out 500 gifts on Christmas Eve. To make this happen, we need your support. The bake sale will be held next week, Saturday, October 29th at Just Grill on Porter's Key Dock. Please help us make boys and girls happy again this year. Thank you.
Good. Anything else from your parents? You want to tell them where Just Grill is?
Well, Just Grill is on the exit side of Porter's Key Dock. It is number 39. You will see a big tent and a lot of pretty balloons and activity going on there, so you will know it is the big sale. This is something that she has been passionate about for many years, and as parents, we do our best to support her in this event. We bought some tasty treats for you guys to try today and some flyers. We would like to get the word out. We want to purchase 500 gifts this year, and we buy quality gifts. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I can attest that the cupcakes are very delicious. Thank you. This has been our press briefing for today. Members of the media, if you have any further questions, we'll be glad to take them afterwards. Thank you so much.